It's just in case one of us has a
In
bleep.
case you say something bad, you get it.
If one of us has a bleep.
We're live. Okay, so we'll begin the this evening's workshop, 5:30, October 5th, 2021, Tuesday night, City Council, City of Winterville. City Council workshop, we'll get right into it. The first item on here is just one that we keep re-upping, which is the mask mandate in city-owned buildings. It'll be on the agenda next week, and depending on what y'all thought, we can do it month by month, or we can look at it through the end of the year. If we just want to keep looking at it every month, we can do that. That's fine. Any feelings one way or the other? Because we're about to get into, cold and flu season.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt. I mean, that alone is reason enough in our house. So, but we can look at it month to month, or we can just put it through the end of the year.
Kind of look through the end of the year. I mean, I was at first going to say, let's just do it till December meeting, but at that point, might as well do it at the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments there? Okay, HPC boundaries. We had our mini retreat with Regional Commission, and it was really good, and thanks to Northeast Georgia Regional Commission for doing that. I sent out the information to all of you, and we have pulled in the boundaries quite a bit and tried to mirror as closely to the national register that we had before, but also we did include homes that very obviously needed to be in there in the commercial district. So this has been tabled, or an old business, for the last 2 months, so it will be on the agenda for a vote. Does anybody have any comments or any changes, any more changes we need to make? And we can post this on the city's website.
Looks like Parkview's still on there.
No,
I
that's,
thought we had pulled that.
that's not, that's part of the same property.
Is it?
Yeah, that's, if you look, you see Parkview's on the other side.
Okay,
This is just a part of a existing property.
okay.
So it'll be the stuff within the red,
Yes. No, the stuff
No.
within the red is the national,
that's what's already done.
the 2001 National Registered Boundary. So the colored items are what will be included or added.
Okay.
Then we'll share this on, but we've not included anything that hasn't been discussed in public hearings. No property has only been taken out. Nothing has been added.
That's good. That was going to be my question.
Any other questions there? And Mark also sent, and I'll put this up for anybody that wants to see it during or after the meeting. Mark also sent the edits that council members had made and some explanations as to why they needed to stay in there. Does anybody have any comments about that?
No, I'm going to email him and say thank you for doing that. I mean, he commented on every comment I made, which was really nice. He explained that some of it was more like a state, not mandate, but a state. So yeah, I'll email him to say thank you, but it was a lot of good information.
Okay. Yeah, so look at that through the week, and what I'll do is I'll get with Mark tomorrow and try to get a cleaned up version sent to everybody. If everybody needs that, I don't know. It probably wouldn't hurt, and that way you can have it during the week to look at. Not as if you haven't been looking at it for over a year, but be a little bit cleaner version for you. Okay. So, any other comments? Guidelines, boundaries? They've done a lot of good work, the HPC and the Regional Commission, so we appreciate all the work that they've done. And it's an important effort, so, as we discussed in the retreat for some of the houses in peril and places in peril around the city. So, moving on, we've tabled the painting bids in September. So, any objections to having this on the agenda for next month, or for next week? Has everybody had a chance to look over those? Tom, any other comments about that? Okay. Okay. Body cameras, and Chief just walked out, and I told him that if we didn't get to this month, we would get to it. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? What we need to do this week, really, and I almost saved this one as well as the garage doors for next month. Also, depending on ARPA funding, just to see, just to make sure, exhaust all options and opportunities, like y'all know we like to do. So I might be in favor of that, unless y'all felt like we wanted to go ahead and vote. And Chief and I talked about it. I think they're okay if we wait another month on the body cam, Chief.
Yeah,
So I'd like to kind of vet that out to see if that's an opportunity as well.
yeah, anything we can put to the APR.
And I'm not sure about that, but it may as well ask the question. Okay.
So, November?
Yep, November workshop and agenda. That'll give us, that way we can focus on some of these other areas that we've already obligated spend to, like the auditorium, and to make sure we're staying on top of that and the funding buckets. Okay, I'm constantly in contact with our audit firm, and they are working to get the 2020 audit done. And I've given them kind of a firm deadline, knowing that we're going to try to adopt our budget in November. So I feel like we'll be able to get the audit done that month as well.
Hopefully they don't take another year like they did the last time.
They won't. They won't. They're close.
Okay.
And I'll stay in touch with them. I've been staying in touch with Woody. And again, you know, he works well, and it's starting over with another audit firm would put us, you know, set us way back. And Wendy, Summer, and Woody worked well. They've always worked well with us in the past. They'll get back on top of things, and they'll be fine. But we'll start early on in 2022 asking for our 2021 audit. So they'll get sick of me by January 15th. Okay, the 2022 draft budget, are we ready to send that to council, Gary? Forward that to council this week and set our public hearings for November?
Yeah, I have gotten no feedback from the other members of the committee as far as putting that budget together. You don't have any additions or deletions? I haven't heard from Wendy having any, and I haven't made any adjustments, so.
I think we've done our due diligence, so let's turn it over to everybody and let them pick at it. And
Yeah. Let's
go ahead and set the public hearings. Is it 2, Wendy? I can't remember. It's 2. It's 2. We can have 2. I know it's not 3 like the millage rate, but it's 2.
Yeah.
So let's do workshop and the following week. 5:30. What is that? November. Oh,
November.
the calendar's finally gone.
I took it down.
We are in the 2021.
Let's see.
It's what date is it?
Be November 9th and 16th, or 2nd and 16th, or 2nd and 9th. I don't know why I had the 16th on my mind.
Okay, so public hearings for the budget, and we'll get that out to the public as well. Once we adopt the draft next week, if there are any changes, we can make those this week. We'll have time to do that if y'all don't mind looking it over. And we can adopt the draft and then move forward with let it get presented to the public
Yeah,
and let them have their say. I don't know that it changed drastically. It never really does. We've got some revenue coming in finally, which is a good thing.
yeah.
And the community centers and going to be in a healthier place.
Revenues are gonna be up, not just because of property taxes, but because of the liquor tax that we're starting to see.
Yep.
Our LOST revenues, for some reason, are just starting to jump almost exponentially. It's just unexplainable to me.
Don't question it, just.
Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it because it's
No.
going out live.
No.
ACC may hear it and say, ooh, let's take some more money back. Yeah, I think the budget's gonna be fine. I think, the big if for my fellow council members will be, if you notice in the community center auditorium area, David is very aggressive with his revenue numbers there. Very aggressive. And
Aggressive meaning over?
he's
Optimistic.
optimistic.
Okay. Yeah.
And hopefully he can pull all that off plus.
And I think that obviously it depends on the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think with a lot of hard work, we should be able to get there. And if we do, wow, it'll be something else.
That could-
It'll be the revenue generator that I think a lot of citizens have believed it could be and can be.
Possibly another ARPA pullback if that happens with the pandemic.
Yeah. So, and then other than that, we tried to put some money towards public safety for extra PD,
Yeah,
and which has been needed
Yeah.
for years. So,
yeah.
okay, so just look it over and we'll adopt the draft next week. All right, moving along, T-SPLOST 2023 Citizens Advisory Committee updates, and this is more in line with the Athens Clark County. They're going through projects this week. I don't know that any decisions have been made. Mr. Binder, do you know if anything has come your way from ACC T-SPLOST to your committee, to Michael Shockley or y'all?
No, but,
Are you on the T-SPLOST?
yeah, I don't think they would communicate with us.
Okay, I just didn't know if y'all had heard anything.
Bob said that they've been meeting a lot, and he was somewhat unhappy by the direction they were going with heavy reliance on like personal automobiles and things like that, but he didn't go into great detail.
Well, there's a whole lot of funding going to road resurface, catching up road resurfacing like it did in the last one. And I can tell you this, and I'll send this to everybody. I got it in kind of a form that's not easy to kind of parse through, so I want to get it in a different form from the county. These are just the dates, but they gave us our what our allocations would be this year, and the population of the city has grown a little bit. Last year we got $969,000, or not last year, in 2018 we got $969,000 over 5 years. If we opt into the intergovernmental agreement this year, we'll get closer to 1.4 million over 5 years. We've also put our 3 projects forward. I know there's some tough conversations going on about everybody's projects in the city, but they were well accepted by the committee when we presented them, and presented as not if projects but when projects that the city wouldn't be able to afford. So it was good to get us on the dashboard for their committee and the county. So we'll see what happens this week with what they decide if they allocate a project to the city. But and the project meaning stormwater on Main Street, sidewalks on Smoky Road, sidewalks on Smithonia, were the 3 projects we submitted. So we'll wait to see if they allow the city to have a standalone project on the county's SPLOST. But our allocation would be close to 1.4 million. And timetable on that, and I wrote it down, but it's going to be on the May referendum in 2022 instead of November, so it's kind of fast tracked. And our allocation is $1,349,375.
$1,340,000.
$1,349,375.
Oh,
What if we don't opt into that?
Then it takes about $30 million off of the total SPLOST. If we don't opt in, or
So Athens Park would lose $30 million.
whole county, countywide, and that was made clear, politely, in a presentation
Good.
and a follow-up letter. That was because it's true. The citizens of Winterville bring $30 million to the total project, right?
And we get $1 million out of the.
1.3, whatever. But, so I did, and they're aware of that, and they understand it. And I've also asked the county if there's ways that, if we're doing this right, if there's ways that we can all save money by allowing the city, when we have a major project like this that we can't afford, that would take us 3 or 4 SPLOSTs over a 15 or 20 year period to accomplish, if there's a better way to spend that money with the city managing the project. So a lot of good conversation has been had. And everybody's listening, and everybody's understands and wants the best for all involved, but we do have to fight for those projects like everybody is throughout the county.
Sure.
Right? But today, Main Street was a safety hazard, but that's a lot of rain dumped on Main Street all at once, and everybody all around the city, I was in the county traveling through some of the heaviest rain, and it was just, there are a lot of spots that are in need of, and they know that, and that's what they're trying to catch up on. So it's just trying to make ours fit in there somehow. But anyway, yeah, the committee's been great. Mayor and county manager, they've been great, and they always are looking out. They try to look out for the best interests of both Bogart and Winterville in the process, especially in the intergovernmental agreement. But I can get you those exact numbers because we actually went through that in the meeting that I had with Mayor Gertz and Manager Williams. They laid out what it would cost, the total project, if Winterville or Bogart did not opt into the intergovernmental agreement. So the timeline is, I think they are looking, and I'll send this out to everybody, and I thought I brought it with me, and I probably did in here somewhere, but the timeline is a December joint meeting with Athens commissioners and city council, like we did the last time we had the T-SPLOST intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah.
Where we all sit in a room and discuss it. So it's December, and I have the date somewhere, or Blaine sent it to me, and I'll have to send it back out, but it's around the 3rd week of December. And then we'll probably we'll need to enter into the intergovernmental agreement in March or April sometime. And it'll be on the May referendum. All right.
is there anything to do with, I thought there was something about T-SPLOST on the November
E-SPLOST.
ballot.
E-SPLOST,
E-SPLOST, that's
yeah.
what it is.
E-SPLOST. So, 9 ARPA funding opportunities. I'm keeping this on our dashboard until we get the final guidelines. And Wendy, have we heard anything else about that from Becky or GMA? We don't have any final.
No, they haven't sent it out yet.
Okay. So I'm just keeping it on here because it's very important, and a lot of opportunity to do some good things in our community with that funding. There has been governor approved opening up of grants for public safety, which we are looking at that information and very happy to see that and to do that. We just got to get through the information and probably get it through David and see how we get through that for WPD, WVFD, and Public Works and essential workers in the city. So we'll be looking to make sure y'all are taken care of.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending that to me, Chief.
Anytime.
Did you sleep in the new truck this week?
A couple times.
Winterville Police Department copier, has that been delivered?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In operation.
Great.
Nice.
So we'll put that on the agenda next week, make that official.
It's been delivered before we voted on it?
We approved it, and we're gonna vote officially on it.
okay.
You approved it, or maybe you didn't, but we did. And it's been installed, and we'll save the city money on having to replace ink at $500 a pop.
Very nice.
Because there's a lot of reports that goes through there, so that's a lot of ink. It'll pay for itself, I think, in a year, maybe 18. I hope we look at it and try to get it in that year to 18-month payback. So a good spend. Skid steer tires. Request Public Works. We'll have that on the agenda next week. Do you have you got the pricing to us?
I did, I contacted Porterfield and University, and they're the only ones that I could find that provided them.
I mean, I know I've talked to you about it, but I haven't looked through the email to make sure to look at the.
And both of them were right around $1,600.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, solid waste ordinance. This is from Northeast Georgia Regional Commission, and usually with an ordinance you need a public hearing, but they've conducted all the public hearings across their counties and municipalities. So all we have to do is adopt that, and we need to adopt it in the October meeting. And I'll get the information from Mark to you. And I meant to do that today. I apologize.
So it's already written.
Yeah, this is just a standard solid waste ordinance for all municipalities and counties. But I'll make sure y'all get that. So auditorium, bathrooms, sprinkler system update. Any update, Tom? We're kind of waiting on another bid, or not a bid, but another quote come in.
Yeah, we let the electrical, it's already done.
Okay.
We've contacted a local contractor that's going to look at the framing and plumbing.
Yep.
And then he'll do the drywall and tile, everything, finish work in it. So he promised he'd have a bid this week, so we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. We're supposed to have it by the end of this week, right?
Right.
Okay. Good deal. Any questions for Tom on that, or Bob? Chairman White?
I just want to say I'm glad we have both of y'all on that
I'm sorry?
project. I just wanted to say I'm glad we have both of you guys on that, because that is not, of course, my wheelhouse, so it's good to hear your expertise on it.
I'm glad you guys are on it, because that helps.
And I think y'all are doing such a good job that I'm gonna keep y'all on it for 2 years to go ahead and finish it out. Chairman White, you good with that?
He's like, I'm doing a terrible job.
I'm lucky he has a mask on.
I still be in poverty zone.
All right, any other questions about the auditorium update? Thank y'all for the work you're doing to steer that through. I do feel a lot better having a building committee on that project and finishing it off. I'm being serious, and hopefully you would stay and shepherd that through, but we'll get this done first and get there. later. Moving on, Muni Code update. We're still waiting on the final version of that to send through to council. So I'll check back in with Muni Code, the lawyers there, to see if when we're going to get that. I think we were supposed to get that around now. Am I right, Wendy, or was it? Seemed like it was about now we're supposed to see that. But I'll email them to find out. Okay, and we got some good news today from a USDA grant that was applied for through the Marigold Collective for it's a composting grant to work in coordination with the farmers market, and it also includes equipment that can be used for food recovery that can serve the food insecure in our area. So really rounds out that food hub, starts us off with a grant. And to my knowledge, there were a couple of grants. This is a in-kind match from the city in around $26,000. So, but if not, it's also funding that we could vote to use ARPA funding towards, because that's also an important objective to get done with that funding. But anyway, equipment for the barbecue hut that's been another building that's been repurposed for common good, and the equipment from the USDA. So thank you to grant writer David Matthews Morgan, and happy birthday to David.
Yeah.
He's 65 today. Big birthday.
Happy birthday.
So and thank you. That's another grant that he has written and won for the city, and to Sherry, Shawanda, and Laura for their really hard work getting all that information together in a very short amount of time. So Sherry will be here. She's sick tonight and may not be able to come next week, but she is going to come update council on the particulars of that grant and the details of what we can see going in that building.
All right.
But it will be used. It'll benefit the community greatly, so that full circle with the composting piece comes back, so the farmers can, whatever we aren't able to reuse and to redistribute from the market can go into that composting program that the farmers can use when they leave. So it's really a neat program that I think a lot of communities might pick up on once we get this thing formalized and really hitting on all cylinders. So kudos to everybody involved with that. Solar energy.
I just had a quick question about the composting thing. Might it be something where households could also bring their compost?
I think so, and so we want to loop in the garden, but we didn't want to combine. We wanted to keep the Marigold Collective's compost separate from the gardens and the cities, to not create any more confusion. But there's definitely ways to partner up there, and definitely ways for the community to get involved. Yep, and that would help out because it's going to take a long time to get that composting, up and ready. I mean, more than I do about how long it takes to get the compost ready for farmers to use. So yeah, we'll be reaching out to the community for that, but she can explain all that when she's here.
So will the location be near Pittard Park?
It'll be, we don't know for sure. I think it's probably somewhere around the recycling, but somewhere in that area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In not a large space at all, but a big part of the grant. But in the grant, it calls out that a slab and a cover, so a nice compost stall, two or three stalls. So moving on, and this was another one that got done super fast, and it's exciting, and it's really exciting because of some of the feedback we've gotten. The solar energy grant, and Bruce Johnson, incoming council member 2022, found this opportunity and brought it to me, and very excited about it last Wednesday. And then Wednesday night he texted me and said it's due tomorrow. And we got it in. We got it in and GFA helped us, and it's a $100,000 grant, or so it's an 85-15 grant. But we asked for a little over $100,000. We haven't gotten the final RFQ back, or the quote back, but it's solar power on the auditorium to power the community center in the auditorium. And they'll pay 85%, we pay 15%, and it's a little bit over $100,000, so you can do the math. It would be a substantial savings, because we allocated, I think, 120 from SPLOST to go toward renewable energy. We would only be spending 15,000 of what we thought we might spend all of that chunk on. So great job to Bruce, and we'll keep our fingers crossed there. Because I did hear back that they've received everything was received, and we're in good standing, and if they have any questions, they're gonna reach out. But feel good about that project, and let's hope we get that as well. So is that 34 minutes? 35 minutes? 31 on here. That, so far concludes the workshop agenda. And again, Chief, we'll get body camera, we're keeping it all on the agenda. We're just kind of trying to work through all these end of the year spends. They're big ticket items, but none more important than the other. Just trying to get them all done. So, citizen committee updates, T-SPLOST. Do you have any update, Mr. Binder? Okay. But y'all have been working on projects and buckets and all that?
We're meeting, yeah,
Great.
twice a month.
Great, thank you. And the Firefly Trail Local Action Committee, nothing, I haven't received anything from them, but maybe Bruce could be here next week and help us out with that. Regional Commission updates, story mapping still ongoing with all the construction we're doing. Some of it's going to finish up, and we should have a good project by the beginning of the year to combine with our website. Speed limits on Main Street, we still, so the crosswalks, we were, as I said in the last meeting, I think, the flashing RFIBs at Parkview, on Main at Parkview in front of the depot. Supply Chain has held them up for a couple of extra weeks, so instead of getting them in and trying to install them next week before the dedication, we're going to wait and install those the following week, and then put reflectors out around those medians. And the same with the median down at Henry Meyer and Main. And once that's done, we'll let that settle in, and then we can talk about doing the speed study again to look at speed limits. But we also may want to wait until if we accept Historic Preservation Commission's boundaries, we accept those boundaries and we're able to post signage for a historic district, which will also calm traffic. So, you know, we could wait. That's a $7,000 speed study, so we might want to put that off in 2022 somewhere, and not worry about it until everything goes in place. And we have, because I see the medians working. I see the medians working. They're slowing cars down for sure. So we'll do that and post signage and let that settle in before we post put the speed study. But working toward traffic calming on Main and throughout the city. Complete Streets project, we've got to schedule the public input sessions. I think I'm waiting on some information from Mark, a final kind of map after our retreat. So I'll reach out to Mark and get that for everybody, and then we'll hold our public input sessions. No rush on that, but it all works to help with the pedestrian connectivity, traffic calming, and parking, especially in the city square, addressing the parking issue. So I'm looking forward to that. And then code retreat with planning and zoning, we've had that. We've got some big conversations to have if these guidelines for the HPC are passed. We've got to do some streamlining of planning and zoning and some separation of powers, if you will, as to, and really streamline it so there's no gray area as to what Chairman White looks at and what the HPC recommends. It needs to be streamlined, and while we're going through this with Muni Code, we need to get that done so there's no questions. All right. Okay, and before I open it up, city council issues for concerns, or concerns for the agenda. We do have the candidate forum hosted by the Winterville Civitan Club this Thursday in Pittard Park Pavilion from 7 to 9 for the 2 candidates running to fill Mary Quinn's seat. And we have the Chandler Park dedication Thursday the 14th at 4 o'clock in Chandler Park, which should be a really well-attended event. And there will be a visitation following. The family will be having a visitation for George in the pavilion following the ceremony. But Civitan clubs from all over the state have been invited, and we look forward to that. Any other, besides the fire truck? I mean, we had a big week last week. The same day we got the solar thing in and confirmed. All of a sudden, this big, pretty fire truck rides by the office, honking, and it was a fun week, a fun Friday for sure. A very busy Friday, but a fun Friday. So everything's working well with the truck and good, y'all.
So good?
Yeah, it's nice, and it's small. I say more economical.
A little more compact.
Yeah, but yeah, smaller. So good.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any council concerns or issues for the agenda?
I think there was an agenda item that I think we need to discuss that was brought up last night, and that is the fire department needs a couple of defibrillators.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know whether we can get that through the ARPA funds or whether we have to pull that out of our budget.
I bet we can't. Is it something that can wait a month until we get these guidelines? Or maybe I could probably ask about that. I'll ask about these specific items and see if I get an answer. And if I do, I'll put them on the agenda for next week. And if I don't, how about that?
Yep.
Okay?
So 2 defib.
Yeah.
Garage door, body cams. Okay. I'll just send a specific request in and see what I get for that. Probably won't get a definitive answer, but we can try. Anything else?
That's all I got.
I have a few quick things. Yeah, we did meet last night. We'll give the full report next week, but to outfit the new truck is coming in under budget, which is really good. Also, I mentioned, and I don't know the interest level, but bringing up the idea of the communication committee. I didn't know how people felt about that, if you've had time to think about it. Because I think having people apply and then having maybe like neighborhood liaisons to just help us spread the word so that more people are feeling included in our city events and meetings. And so I wanted to bring that up first, if we could put that, or we can wait for November. We could maybe start it even in like 2022.
Well, you know what? Why don't we, because we've kind of tossed around the idea, and the Gazette's getting robust.
Yeah.
A lot of information in there, and it's not a lot of people. There are not a lot of people working on it, and the person that does the podcast, we have some people that are interested in that. So I'm okay with putting it on the agenda and creating a communications committee in the, and hope that we can populate it by January 2022.
Okay.
And just kind of put that as a goal. And if there's no interest, then it just
Yeah.
goes away until there's enough interest. enough people that are willing to serve on it.
I like that.
But it would help with the Gazette, and I really like the idea of community liaisons to where you can get the information to every community. You know, especially in public safety issues, it'd be great to have that and have some connectivity to all the neighborhoods. So, okay.
Awesome.
So communication committee,
Yeah.
because we've constantly tried to work on a communication plan, and, you know, we've,
I mean, if it's something people apply for, just like our other committees, and fill out an application for, I feel like maybe it'll, for whatever reason, have a little bit more weight or teeth and,
right. Yeah, and I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's, every municipality struggles with it, you know, it's one of the first things that I get, that I hear or that I ask when I'm around, when, you know, GMA conventions is, how do you get information out to everybody? How do you communicate with your community? And nobody has a good answer for it. It's everybody wants to be reached where they want to be reached, but you don't know where that is. You just try to throw it all at the wall, and I feel like we do that with the limited resources we have with the Gazette, the Marquee, social media, Facebook, Nextdoor, the email list. I feel like we're doing all we can, but a communication committee would really help that effort.
I think so too.
So-
And then I just have one more thing. So speaking of GMA, one of my takeaways when I went to the GMA conference in Savannah this year was how we're operating. Especially because, I mean, my only experience on council has been during a global pandemic, but still other cities are, you know, they have city managers, they have DDA directors, they have like way more staff, and I know we're different sizes, but I really just left there feeling like, whoa, we all do a lot. We wear a lot of hats. So I'm just really glad that that grant exists for first responders. And in the same breath, I would like to bring up just the conversation or idea to look at knowing how much we all do that is potentially more than normal. If we wanted to think about increasing the incoming folks on council, or the council in general affecting like maybe the new folks.
Increasing their monthly pay. What is the, we get paid to do this? Y'all get paid?
Didn't we just increase it last year?
I can't remember when we increased it. What is it now, Wendy?
2 years ago.
Y'all can tell me. It's 200?
200.
200 per
Yeah.
a month. I do, think that council's working, there's great evidence that council's working harder, every year, and with all the.
It has to be done at the beginning of the term.
Right, beginning of the next term, or so it would only be for the two, for the two that are elected in elected in the November election, and then 2 years later, the next two. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Did we budget, I know we budget for employee increases, did we
Yeah.
budget for any, we would have to redo that and before you send it out, if you have not, to look at it to see if we can.
I think we put it in there just to put it in there to see if it would fly.
Okay,
You know, so it's in the budget. And
What-
it's in there at, I think it's 300 a month.
okay. Okay. How does everybody feel about that?
I think it would be nice, and again, it's awkward to talk about when you could potentially benefit from it. However, I'm looking at the position, not the person.
But you would have to run for office again and be elected.
That is very
So
true.
that's not, shouldn't be awkward. I mean, you would have to run and people would have to vote for you and you would have to be elected.
Yes.
So, I mean, I understand it is awkward, but you all do work hard and
Yes, I think it would be nice.
especially hard. So, any comments, objections?
Don't get paid?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
So, is,
If
Not
you,
all of us get 200 though.
if you can call it that, chief, if you can call it that.
250 or 300? I'll put it on the, we'd have to put it on the agenda for next, it's October, so it'd have to be on before November's election,
Yeah,
I would imagine. So, I'll put it on next week and y'all can vote.
I think we have 100 a month increase, 300 a month total for city council members in the budget.
But we did include, employee, the increase.
Yes, we have
Okay.
employees increase in there.
Yeah. And we reinstated that, and we have kept that in the last 5 years, have we not? When we reinstated it,
The,
increase an employee,
Yes.
we've been able to hold that increase.
yep,
And it's not a lot, but, you know.
yeah, I believe it's 3% this
We
year.
try to keep that in there. Because everybody in this city works really hard. I mean, really hard, so. And we appreciate everything everyone does. Any other concerns, issues from council for the agenda? Concerts have been great, park looks great. Looking forward to next week. Any, public comment?
I'd like to say, we're getting Scotty back starting Saturday.
Yep,
He is recovered from COVID.
Yay.
Good,
He
good,
said he
good.
still tires easily, but he's ready to come back to work. And our body armor has been ordered, and our weapons have been ordered.
great,
Good.
Thanks to y'all.
great.
Thank
Good.
you.
Great. Anything else, any other comment? Yes, sir.
Since I was not going to be back in time for a meeting last night, I sent out an email Sunday night to Mayor Council, Wendy, and the P&Z. I'd like some clarification on where we were going with the B&B process. Since I saw that, I talked to Wendy Friday, and she told me we were going to get that application. So I figured, well, we're going to get an application for a bed and breakfast. Maybe I'll know what I'm supposed to do, what's supposed to be done.
Right.
There's a whole lot of things that have to be done before council can approve a license for that. You know, they have to provide permits from the health department, building inspection. There's like 6 or 8 things like that, just fees and all that have to be calculated to go out and do that. I thought you wanted us to only look at, is this an approved business by the list that you put together? You know, if that's the case, well then really P&Z doesn't need to be involved in it at all, because y'all created the list, so. But then I thought, well, I guess they want us to do kind of like a clearinghouse to make sure before you vote on approving their license, that we make sure that all the boxes that have to be checked are checked.
Mm-hmm.
So what is our role? What do you want us to do? And if, either way, either council has to have a checklist to make sure all these things are in before we approve the license, or P&Z does. So somebody has to create a checklist
Right.
on all the boxes, and then just let us know which way you want us to go, and we'll do it, but it's just,
Yep, so we talked about that today and kind of sent an email out to David Ellison, city attorney, to see, and I haven't caught up to that yet, but I will. And
what his answer was the state will take care of the state stuff after they get notified of the license, is the way I read it. Is that the way you read it, Wendy?
Well, we don't report it to the state.
You don't report business licenses? Well, the state will never know.
so I need to get clarification on that and then kind of meet with you to figure out. I would prefer if planning and zoning check the boxes and we can come up with the boxes working through David to find out what we're legally obligated to check.
Yeah.
And then, I would really love it if planning and zoning could shoulder that
Well, we
burden.
don't mind doing it.
Yeah, just need to know what it is.
Know what it is and know what you want us to do, really.
So, yeah, so let me work with David and find out exactly what that is, and then if it's okay, I'll run it to you and make sure everybody's okay with that, and then we'll go that route if that's okay. But let's see what it is first.
Yeah.
Let's see what it is,
I mean,
because,
the reg itself is like 60 pages.
yeah,
And then it references the health department regs.
yep,
which I didn't bother. When I got to the point that it was 60 pages and I saw, gotta do this, I said, okay, that's enough for this one. Then the email went out.
Yeah, so we gotta make sure that which body's able to do it. So let's get with David first to see who can do it, and then if y'all can, let's make
We're
sure.
always here to try to help you.
Yeah, I know. But that's, we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll put that on my list.
And that'll be the second one that comes to us, right?
Pardon me?
Are we talking about the second B&B that's coming our way, or is this still the, okay.
Now, this is a.
Different one.
Late year.
Yeah, this is the first one that's come before planning and zoning.
Gotcha.
How the previous bed and breakfasts were approved, I don't know anything about what happened or what occurred. But I would recommend that if we didn't go through a checklist, that we need to go back with those people and go through the checklist and make sure that they,
Yep.
we don't want any legal liability to fall on the city.
No, that's
We
a,
need to do something.
yep, that's good. Yep, and so we'll get a kind of SOP for all that, and then get this one done, and then go back to the others and make sure they're following all that. So
Good deal.
I hope it's not too much. I hope it's not sick. I have a feeling it's not
It's not,
too cumbersome, but
well, you know, you come from an area where the B&Bs and the VRBOs and everything's going crazy.
yeah.
And a few years ago, when I checked on B&Bs and stuff like that, essentially from what I heard from the state was, we don't really have anything much. But when I looked at that reg, and I don't know when it was published, but when I looked at that, I said, what, it looks to me like he got a whole lot.
Yeah,
You know, so maybe it was published last year, improved or something.
yeah, I think it was.
If cities make people do this,
Mhm.
it's gonna slow these B&Bs, their uncontrollable growth, down.
Yeah.
And that's what I see it as, totally uncontrollable growth.
So I'll get with David, and then I'll get with you. Okay. All right, anything else? All right, well, if there are no other concerns, any public concerns, anybody? Nobody? We will conclude our workshop. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And the live stream worked.